Hey ho, my name is Joe. Welcome back to my channel. So today we're doing a recent reads video because I have a lot of books I need to talk about because I haven't done a recent reads video in quite a long time. So I might even forget some of what these were about. But we're going to dive in because there's a lot to talk about right now. Hello there, if you are new here, my name is Joanna. I refer to myself here as Joe, and I am Fight and Read Like a Girl, where I do things bookish and polycystic ovarian syndrome related. If you are new here, hi, thank you for clicking on this video. If you are returning, thank you for coming back. I'm so happy you are here. We're going to talk some recent reads today, and I have a lot of them. I have a lot of books I need to get through. I think the last time I did a recent reads video was like back in April of last year. But we're not going to jump back that far. I'm only going to jump... See, we're going to do probably... I don't even know. I think I'm going to go for as far back as December of 2022. I don't think I'm going to go all the way that far back. But... yeah, I think I'm going to go back as far as December. Oh man, there's so much to talk about. Okay, so let's start with December. Alright, so starting with the books that I read in December, we are going to start right off the top, and then I do have a couple of ebooks to talk about. But the first book I have is Of Mice and Men by John Steinbeck. This is my second reread of Mice and Men. I had the great honor to read this out loud to my client at work, and it brought up a lot of topics and stuff that was really good for us to talk about, and why some of the things that happen in this book are just not okay. And I forgot how much I enjoyed this book. I'm not sure why my cat's meowing, so if you hear that, I'm sorry. So I really, really enjoyed this book. I forgot how much I loved it, and we're here. Next I have The Christmas Carol by Charles Dickens. I watched the movies multiple times, but I never actually read the book until last year, and I'm impressed by the way they do the movies, because the movies follow the book quite well. However, I found the book not as scary as I thought it was going to be. So I was a little disappointed by that, and I think I ended up giving it 4 stars. Oh, I should probably say I gave this 5 stars. But I found this not as scary as I've been told it has been. Maybe it's just my addition. I don't know. But it was not as scary as I thought it was going to be. I don't know. Alright, the next book that I read is The Christmas Box by Richard Paul Evans. If you guys have been following me for a while, you do know that I read this book at least every year. I was actually very honored to read this out loud, again, to my client. We do read a lot of books together. So she and I really enjoy this. I love this book every time I read it, but if you're not familiar with this book, you follow Richard, who moves into this big, huge, ginormous house with this little old lady just to help take care of her. And she ends up asking him one day, well, what was the first gift that was given to baby Jesus when he was born? And he spends most of the book trying to figure that out. But the message and the story that is in here, oh, it's so beautiful. This is so well done. I love this story. This is one of my favorite stories of all time. It is a little slow moving, but it is less than 200 pages, so... oh, wait, no, how many pages is it? Yeah, it's less than 200 pages. Like, I feel like you could finish this in an afternoon. It took us like 3 or 4 days to get through because we were reading a chapter a day. But you could get through this in at least an afternoon. And if you haven't picked up this book already, you really should. Like, this is such a beautiful Christmas story. It really is. The next book I read is Lucy in the Sky by Anonymous. This is inspired by Go Ask Alice. It's kind of the same idea, same presence. The girl gets into drugs. Spoiler alert. She ends up dying. So, fortunately, she never recovered. But she's basically going through life, and it's her journey on drugs. And it's a very, very hard hitting, so there are some trigger warnings in here. And just overall, it was a very sweet, I'd say it was heartwarming for me, a heartwarming story, because I feel like in some part of the way I related to her brother when she was talking about him, because I'm not going to go into detail, but I related to the brother that she was talking about in here. So I don't know what else to say about this, but I really did enjoy it. The next one that I have, I actually received an art copy, and a friend of mine actually gifted me an actual copy, like a finished copy, to me for Christmas. That's what I'm going to show you. But I was gifted an art copy of this from the author, and I followed them on TikTok. But that is Rise of the Princess by DAL. Oh my gosh, you guys. This book. Okay, so this is a middle grade book. And you guys know, if you guys have been following me for a while, you know I love my middle grade. I love middle grade stories. This book, oh my goodness. I felt like I was reading a Disney story. Like, that's what it felt like. So you follow these couple of girls where it's her 13th birthday, and all of a sudden one of the girls goes missing. And so then her sister goes out and tries to find her, and she ends up coming encounter with fairies, with unicorns, with big giant spiders, with trolls. It's such a great story. You can find this on Amazon if you are at all interested in this, and I highly recommend you do check it out because it was beautiful. I love this book so much. Okay, so the next one I have a couple of audiobooks and then a couple of ebooks. A few ebooks, actually. The first audiobook that I have is The 13th Gift by, who was that by? The 13th Gift by Joanne Highsmith. I listened to this on audio, and this was a really interesting story. It's definitely a story that's been sticking with me. So she had recently lost her husband, and it was the first Christmas without him. And all of a sudden these gifts start showing up on her doorstep, and there's 12 of them. So the 12 days of Christmas, they're counting down to the 12 days of Christmas, but each one of them has a different little message for whatever gift is on their porch. And I thought it was a really cute story. I mean, it's a true story, so I thought it was a really good idea. I definitely think that everybody should read this, possibly. Next one I have is Christmas at the Harrisons by Melanie Carson. I listened to this one on Audible, and definitely an interesting story, not what I was expecting. But you have this woman who is just getting out of prison, and she goes to this town to try to get herself reestablished, and she ends up befriending a little girl in this like building that she's living in. I don't really remember too much about this book, but I do remember I did enjoy this book. I did end up giving it 4 out of 5 stars, so it was really enjoyable. It was alright, so now we're going to move on to a few ebooks. The first one that I have is The Thief and the Lucky Boy by J. Gabriel Gates. If you guys have been following me for a little bit, you know that J. Gabriel Gates has been one of those authors that I have found that I've been really enjoying. I've befriended him on TikTok, and this book is a part of his Luck of the Gods series. This is kind of like a novella, and this one was really cute. I don't want to give away this story because it'll give away a lot of the parts of the first book, and I am actually waiting to get the money to get myself a physical copy of this because I really did enjoy this book. I ended up giving it 5 out of 5 stars. And anything that J. Gabriel Gates has been writing, anything I've been reading by him, it's been 5 out of 5 stars. They've been that good. Okay. Next we have the ebook that ripped out my heart, stomped on it, put it back in my chest, and ripped it out again. Yeah. And Every Morning the Way Home Gets Longer and Longer by Frederick Bachman. When I say that this book ripped out my heart and stomped on it, I'm not kidding. I even have video footage on my TikTok of me just crying. It was like, I was like, I'm not okay. Like, I need a minute. I don't know if... So there is... How do I explain this? So in this book, it's a little boy whose grandfather has dementia. And that's really all I'm going to say about it because I don't want to give away the story. But I don't know if it's because my grandmother, like it's like a personal level for me because my grandmother had dementia, or is if that I'm working with somebody at my job who has dementia. But this book hit me a lot harder than I feel like it should have. And I was crying. Oh my gosh, was I crying for pretty much like half of this book. And I am so glad I read this book, and I hopefully someday can get my hands on a physical copy of this book because I do know that that's going to be one of my favorite books of all time. So, yes, I highly recommend this book if you have not checked it out. So that wraps up December. Let's go ahead and dive into January. I have already read 5 books for this year, which is huge for me. And we're going to talk about them. So the first one that I have is Daisy Jones and the Six by Taylor Jenkins Reid. I listened to this on audiobook, and I am so glad I did. This is with a full cast. I thought it was wonderful. I thought it was beautiful. I was so sad to see this book end. I didn't want it to end. I thought about going right back to the beginning and just re-listening to the whole entire thing again because I loved it. Definitely not one of my favorites of all time, but I really, really did love this book. And I would highly recommend the audiobook, so I definitely do know I need to get my hands on a copy of this. But I've been trying to find one at my local bookstore, but they don't have it. So the next one we have is, I listened to this on audio, but that is The Dog's Purpose by W. Bruce Cameron. Oh my gosh. Where to begin with this book? I loved this. The narrator did such a phenomenal job. Like, the text in here, the wording in here is just beautiful. And I cannot wait to continue on with this series. I hope that when I'm able to continue on with this series that it's the same narrator, because this narrator did such a good job. I probably won't continue on with the series until I get my hands on the other books, because I definitely know this has actually become one of my favorites of all time. And I loved this so much. I found myself laughing. I was crying. I was just appalled and just in shock by everything happening in this book. It was so beautiful. But I laughed and I cried and I felt like Bailey was my dog. And this book definitely made me really think about and appreciate my dog just a little bit more. The dog and cat are chasing each other. So this definitely made me appreciate my dog just a little bit more, and I'm so glad I read this. Alright, the next 3 that I have, I've been reading a lot of audiobooks lately, or a lot of ebooks lately. The next one that I have is Otto Schaefer's The Secret Journal, the Godstone series. This is the first book in that series, and wow. The writing of this is amazing. The research done in this is very well done. I ended up giving this 5 out of 5 stars. This book is definitely in the running to becoming one of my favorite books of the year. And I highly recommend this book. You can get this book on Prime Reading or Kindle Unlimited. And like, you follow how to explain this book? So you follow 2 different characters. One is on Nova Scotia Island, Oak Island. And the other one, I don't remember where the other one was, but they do end up meeting. And one's trying to uncover, the male character is trying to uncover history and secrets from Abraham Lincoln, while you have the female character who is trying to uncover the secrets of Oak Island. And they end up meeting. And this book was just so good. I definitely recommend this to you because it was amazing. I definitely gave this 5 out of 5 stars. It was just really good. Alright, the next book that I have is Hooked by Emily McIntyre. I'll probably say that name wrong. I gave this 4 out of 5 stars, and I'm normally, okay, how to explain this? I'm normally not one of those people that will read smut. However, I picked up this book because in my book that I'm writing, it has a little bit of smut in it, so I definitely feel like I need to read this for learning purposes. Educational purposes, just to kind of see how smut scenes are supposed to go. And I actually really overall enjoyed this story. I don't think I would continue on with this series unless somebody can convince me to, but this was a Peter Pan retelling, and it's kind of like Hook is getting his revenge on Peter using his daughter. So, like, using his daughter. So, they end up falling in love with each other in the end, but he definitely used his daughter, and they were not expected to fall in love with each other, but they did. That's a little bit of a spoiler, but I really did like this story a lot. Okay, and the last book that I read, or that I've read recently, this one is definitely not made for, I would say, not made for the lighthearted, not made for people who don't like smut, because this book is loaded with smut, and that is The Risk, the Mindfuck series. This is book number 1, and this one I end up giving 4 out of 5 stars, and now you have 2 different characters. One is an FBI agent, one is a killer, and he's trying, the FBI agent is trying to hunt her down. However, they end up meeting each other, falling in love with each other, and have lots and lots of sex. That's the best way I can put this. I mean, it's a very short book, and you kind of have like the spaces in between that kind of fill in all of that. But that's the best way I can explain this book. I did give it 4 out of 5 stars, and it was decent. It was pretty darn good. I did enjoy it. So, yeah. I have not much to say about this one. If you made it this far in this video, thank you so much for watching. That is all I have for you for my recent reads. I hope that you guys will hit subscribe to check out my cute little community to hang around, because we've got a lot more videos coming, and I'm trying to make my balance on videos and all that fun stuff. So we're getting there. Hopefully I won't be working 2 jobs much longer, so we'll definitely have our balance where I can do a lot more recording, a lot more editing and reading and all that fun stuff. Though I've been doing a lot of reading lately, so it is what it is, right? We're here. So you don't want to miss any more recent reads videos, because I do have a lot more coming. I have at least 2 more books that I have read. No, 2 more books that I am currently reading, and then I've got another book that's on deck that I'm going to be reading, so that's 3. I'm going to try to do recent reads videos probably every, let's see, we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. I'd say maybe every 5 to 8 books. I'm going to try to do a recent reads video, so you don't want to miss those. Definitely check me out on TikTok, because I do post a little bit more there as I do here right now. Just because I'm kind of enjoying the short little content and whatnot. So you want to check me out on TikTok. Link is, or handle is down below. Yeah, that's all I got for you today. So I will see you in another video. Bye.